Hey everyone, happy Friday. Welcome to another Facebook Live. It's going to be our last, or no, our second to last one before the new year. Christmas is fast approaching. Next week, as you can see, all the boxes and the shelves behind me, Christmas presents are stacking up in my office. We'll need to wrap those. Christmas is approaching next week. So this will be my last Facebook Live before Christmas, unless I decide to do something else before then, which is a possibility, but you never know. But I want to wish everyone happy holidays, whatever holiday you celebrate, or if you don't celebrate any holiday, then just have a nice next week. I'll be celebrating Christmas with family and friends and whatnot across throughout the week. So pretty excited about that. And I know lots of health-related topics about the holidays can come up, but I've already covered that in a video that I did before Thanksgiving, which all applies to any holiday. So go back and check out that video that I think it was done right before the week before Thanksgiving on another Facebook Live on a Friday. Maybe I'll try to find that and put that in the comments if you're interested in watching that as well. But today's topic is actually about something that I've been, I guess, developing as a practice in my own health journey, particularly over the past year. It's something that I guess doesn't get a lot of attention, and actually probably shouldn't really be something that you really need to work on that much if we didn't live in this kind of industrial, sedentary, chair-focused type of world. Because I guarantee our ancestors probably didn't do or worry about this at all. But given our lifestyle and modern movement practices, it is something that we, I guess, need to address now. And the topic I just want to talk about today is mobility. And this, we generally think, I guess, probably the average person thinking about their health journey doesn't really think about mobility, right? They're concerned about various other health concerns, whether it's fat loss or digestive issues or skin-related problems or, any number of health conditions, which are probably, I would agree with, are probably much more of a priority than mobility. But when we think about, as we get older and being able to do the things we want to do, just doing basic things like getting up and down out of a chair, reaching overhead to grab something out of a cabinet, bending down to pick up our kids or our grandkids, playing with our kids and grandkids, getting down on the floor and moving around with them. Mobility, while we don't really think of it as mobility, is really those types of things, right? Being able to move our body in various different planes of motion and do it without restriction and without pain, right? I mean, how many times have you seen someone, especially older people, need assistance to get up and out of a chair, or, someone that's trying to play with their kids on the ground or whatever, just can't move around like they want to, or someone who just, goes to do some everyday movement, like pick up a bag of groceries and they hurt their back, right? These are all things that are, issues that tend to revolve around mobility. And if you're an athlete, like many of the people I work with or people I talk to and people I hang around with, mobility can be a restriction in you performing your athletics, right? Some people have a hard time just performing a basic squat with the proper form, like just squatting down and, without having to lift their heels or pronate their ankles or stick their feet out super wide or lean excessively forward. or, and this is just a basic movement that if you look at uh, hunter-gatherer cultures around the world, or even modern cultures around the world, people can squat down and sit in that squat very comfortably without an issue, for long periods of time too. And so there's various other things that we think about, like people that can't reach overhead to get something out of a cabinet, or to put their bag in the overhead compartment, or people that just don't have the ability to twist their torso around, or turn their neck around, to look in different directions and stuff like that, or picking up your kid is very painful for you, right? Or stuff like that, right? So one of the things that I've kind of focused on recently over the past year is developing some type of mobility practice to just do various maintenance tasks. So one of the areas that I tend to struggle with was I noticed is like overhead stuff, right? If I had to put my arm straight overhead, especially when I was pressing a weight or something like that, that I wasn't necessarily, it didn't feel as comfortable as I would like it to feel. Like I could do it, but it wasn't very comfortable. So one of the things that I've been working on is really my shoulder mobility and overhead mobility. So I find, I encourage people to find areas of restriction in their life where they feel like they could be moving better, and try to address that stuff through mobility. But then the question is, how do you figure out how to do that, right? And there's a couple of things that I've come across over this year that I want to share with you that I think are pretty helpful when, one, identifying areas of restriction, so identifying basic movement patterns that you should be able to do that maybe you can't do perfectly or do at all. And then two, what you can do to address those concerns. So I think the number one resource in this field of mobility is Kelly Starrett, and he has a number of great resources to really get you, one, identify problems, and two, address them. So he has a really good book if you really want to deep dive into mobility, called Becoming a Supple Leopard. It's somewhat, I guess it's pretty much directed towards athletes, but it's certainly useful because he has just basic body weight movement patterns that you can address in there, like just squatting down, or just hinging at your hips, or reaching your hands over your head. And there's more complex movements in here, like barbell squat and bench press and all other kinds of things. But there's a lot of different practices and techniques and just knowledge that you can gain out of this book as far as addressing mobility concerns. So I highly suggest everyone, especially if you're an athlete, to get this book. It's a great book by Kelly Starrett. He also has an online community called The Ready State. Used to be called Mobility WOD. And there he has videos, a whole library of videos where you can go through and pick out various different concerns or pains you might be having and stuff like that, and find ways to address them and address restrictions and stuff like that. So that would be my number one resource to tell people. The other one that I've come across that is pretty useful, again, it's for people who are athletes, but it can be used for anyone who thinks that they have mobility restrictions, is the guys from the Mind Pump podcast have a program called MAPS Prime. And this is a really cool online program that you can buy. And basically what it does is you go through 3 or 4 different tests, and you either pass or fail those tests. So they're just movement time tests. You do this movement and you can either do it the right way or you don't do it the right way. And based on whether you can pass 3 or 4 tests, that then suggests, okay, these are some mobility movements that you can then integrate into your day, your workouts, etc., to help address these problems. So if you have a really hard time doing a proper squat, they'll have a bunch of movements in there that you can do to help address that, whether it's your ankles, your hips, or wherever it might be. So that would be my second go-to resource for, one, identifying mobility restrictions, and two, helping improve them. And then the third one that I really like, or I'm currently using right now. I've used all of these things and have all of them. But the one I'm actively using myself right now that I've recently come across is ROMWOD, ROMWOD. And ROMWOD is like a monthly subscription service. I think it's like $10 a month or something like that. And every day you get a different range of mobility WOD. So ROM stands for range of mobility, and WOD stands for workout of the day. And every day is a different one. This is quite different from the other two, the MAPS Prime program, as well as the either Becoming a Supple Leopard or the Ready State from Kelly Starrett. And it's more, I would describe it more like a very yoga-like, where you're putting your body in certain positions and you're holding those positions for long periods of time, at least a minute up to maybe 4 minutes in some cases. But they're like stretches. They're not like, crazy yoga poses. Like you're not going to be trying to like stand on your hands or something like that. It's like, doing things like a frog or a lizard or, a downward dog or a forward bend or a straddle, and just holding these positions for a long period of time. And it actually is quite uncomfortable when you have to hold it for minutes at a time. Like some of these positions you're holding for, like I said, anywhere from a minute to 4 minutes, and you're holding that position for a really long time. And it's kind of, it's very meditative like. There's very nice calming music that plays in the background, and you're holding this position and trying to deal with that discomfort and just ease into that position. And as your body relaxes, you'll notice that you get a little bit more range of motion. So it doesn't necessarily have a way of identifying specific restrictions or problem areas that you might have. It's just a general kind of range of motion, mobility, recovery program that I think if you have a fairly good mobility already, this is a great kind of maintenance type of program. So I have a fairly good handle after a year of focusing on this, knowing different mobility. I still do other mobility exercises that I've been posting and showing you guys as like practices that I do either before or after my workouts or part of my daily routine. But I also do this as a way of just daily maintenance in various different ranges of motion, and I've really liked it, not only because it's challenging my range of motion, but also because of the meditative aspect of it. It's like that, more calming style of workout. It's like a great finisher. Like I find after I finish a workout, especially a heavy lifting session, and I do just 10 minutes of this ROMWOD routine, that I feel much better after that workout, much more calm and much more present and just really relaxed, and my muscles feel really good. So that's something else to check out as well. I know there's various other programs out there that help in this area. FRC, functional range conditioning, is another popular program. I haven't tried that out or looked into it really at all. And there's probably more as well that I don't even know about. So if you have something in mind or other things that you know about that you really like, please leave them in the comments. I'd love to explore them and try them out. And if you're looking for help with any of your mobility issues, I'm happy to kind of point you in the best direction I possibly can. I'm certainly not an expert in solving mobility issues, but I've gone around and explored various different programs. So yeah, love to hear about your thoughts about mobility, maybe what you struggle with, some of the practices you might have. And be sure to, if you try out any of these things, let me know what you think, or you're looking for advice as to what to do, let me know. As always, leave me feedback in the comments, reach out to me. My direct messages are always wide open, and shoot me an email, whatever you might want. With that, I'll wish everyone happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and be safe and have fun. And yeah, everyone keep on being healthy, and we'll talk next week.